Well, my first question you answered before we went live, and obviously on the show, Downs, you've done Town have done their return list, and I think you explained why, mainly in the fact that they're trying to get rid of us, get rid of some of these players as soon as they possibly can. Yeah. I think I know the answer to this first question, but was there anybody on that list that you think shouldn't have been released?
Well, I've got a nice little graphic here, as usual, which we've done with the Bradford one. But yeah, this is actually our return list. I've left a lot of the academy lads off that a lot of people wouldn't have known. Overall, there's 19 people being released by the club, which is quite a large section, really, of not just the first team but also the B team. No surprises. Johnny Ogg, obviously captain, legend, 12 years. Probably. I mean, he hasn't done his coaching badges, but if he had done, I could have seen him staying on. Did meet Kevin Nagel last week to have discussions, but I don't see Hogg staying. Danny Ward, injury prone. I think we'll just release him, to be honest. You never know, he might turn up in a National League club. I don't see him going on to play for any League Two clubs. Tom Lees is probably the only one that I may have offered a contract to, only very slightly, but he's, as I said on the Town Talk show yesterday, probably time for him to leave, being a good servant as Tom. Matty Pearson, obviously, he's sort of rumoured to be coming to you. I think he'd be an absolutely brilliant signing at Bradford City. And we kind of all agreed that on the Town Talk show yesterday. He'd just do the job brilliantly at City, head it, kick it, wherever you need it. Scores a few goals from corners. But just too slow and for a side that he's hoping. I know you lads are not as confident as what I could be in terms of Town potentially next season, but for any promotion going side, Matty Pearson's not really the one anymore. Ollie Turton, yeah, again, injury prone, needed to go. Josh Ruffles, good servant, same as the last three, really. Never caused any fuss in the dressing room from what's been said, but needs to leave and probably will find a good home at a lower League One club / top League Two side. Again, another possible for City maybe to look at. Josh Karoma, I think he'll probably try and aim for a Championship club, but I can see him going to another rival League One team. Scored a few goals, been at the club now 6 seasons. Time to leave the football club. Scott High, as we know, has been on loan from Halifax. I'd be surprised if Fax don't go in for him to sign him permanently. Lloyd Kanya, 19-year-old French lad who is the last of the trio that we had that was from the academy. There was high hopes that he was going to make it. Just not good enough in the end. Same for Connor Falls, who came on earlier this season in one of the Fisherman Friends Cup that we play in. He came on, and Chris Maxwell has obviously retired through his different various injuries. So no real surprises, and thankfully, there's a lot going. There's still a lot of work to do in the squad, mind, but there's a lot there going that I think most Town fans, 99% of Town fans agree on, really.
Is there anybody? Well, you're probably going to. I probably know the answer to this as well, Downsy. Are your players that you've got under contract that are going to be with you next season? Are there any that you wished weren't? That you wish were? We could have add on that list and released as well.
Yeah, Freddie Oladapo, not good enough. Reece Healy, made of glass. The injuries are just, we signed the lad for £2 million from Watford. Just an absolute waste of money. Probably a nice lad. Comes across as that. Tries hard when he did get on the pitch, but and I think without injuries, he would have been a very good striker at Town. I don't think he would have played at Town. I think he would have been at a Championship club, but the injuries have just crippled him. Thinking about this, there's a few guys, to be honest. They're the main two. But there are a few, mate, in the squad that I think it's either time to leave the football club or they're just not good enough. People like Kyle Udlin and people like that. There's a lot. It's an overinflated squad because of how the B team joined the first team, and over the last 2 seasons, you've seen nearly 40 players leave Huddersfield Town Football Club, which is a crazy amount, really.
I hope you're right on Matty Pearson. I think he'd be a good signing for us. I do believe he'll have a lot of interest from probably middle to lower end League One clubs, possibly a few that are aiming to get out of League Two. I think he will have a lot of interest, but I agree with you of what I know of him and what you've said about him. I think he could be a good signing if we can afford him, if the finances are right and if the interest there on both sides. I do believe he's from the Keighley area, and I believe he's got family that are City fans as well. So possibly there's something to be done there. I'm not in the know or anything, but it would be somebody who I'd be looking at if I was a power that be at City, somebody who had a say-so at City. He'd be someone I'd be on the phone to. The
only reason you would miss out on him is the finances. If he wants a better deal somewhere else where he thinks he can get a better deal, but I don't. If I were Matty, I'd be going to City because I think he could be a bit of a cult hero at City in the later stage of his career, and a bit of a leader at the back for you guys. Like I say, he's done his stint at Town. He's just too slow for a centre-back that you would expect to be in a League One hopeful promotion chasing team.
Lou?
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be a decent signing for where you guys are at the moment in terms of City. I look at that list. I think Ruffles really springs out for me for City. I think he's versatile. He can play in a back three at centre back on that left side if Critchlow doesn't stay, and also he can play at left back as well, which we know we spoke about before, don't we? Obviously, Richards is there as a left wing back, and I'm not saying Ruffles can do that, but maybe with a bit of protection alongside a free, he could operate down that left side. I think he could be potentially quite a shrewd signing for somebody like yourselves at City. I think he offers a good amount of balance at the back. Is just obviously, I mean, Ian's kind of stole the thunder, so we'll show the comment. Any news on a manager for Town then, Downsy? Any rumours that you've heard? Have you had any of your spotters there at the John Smiths in around the revolving doors?
We had Ben, who is a regular watcher to the Town Talk show yesterday, camped outside Marsden's chicken shop on Leeds Road. And he said he said he had spotted Mr. Wagner, but I don't know how reliable Ben is. But listen, there's the massive rumour is Wagner. I think it is quite clear that the club has approached him. I'm getting a bit nervous that now we are 10 weeks without a manager, which is the longest the football club has gone without having a permanent manager in place in its entire history since 1908. So it is getting a bit worrying because the longer you leave it, the less chance you have of getting a squad together that he's going to be good enough to go to the top end of the division. So they've got to get whoever they want in quick. There was a Scottish chap, I think his name was Stephen Robinson, that was up in Scotland. I can't remember who he was managing.
But he managed Motherwell, I think.
Yeah, Motherwell. Yeah, he apparently he's done all right. He's with a very limited budget, from what I understand. But that's not the type of manager we need. We need somebody who's either been there and done it or a young, hungry coach. I mean, my top 5, as I've kept saying for the majority of the Town Talk shows over the last 5 weeks, and I think I've said on here is, Nigel Pearson, Tony Mowbray, Wagner as an obvious, Tom Cleverley, who's just been let go from Watford. I think he'd be a good shout. And I've forgotten the 5th. Rob Edwards. Sorry, Rob Edwards.
Listen to your Town Talk shows, Downsy. You see,
you do. Thank you very much. So they're the 5 that I would be going. They're the standouts.
There's also Downsy to throw. Obviously, we know about it as well, but who's replacing Cartwright potentially as well? Because you've got to get that person upstairs to get the right manager, in that they've got a bit of synergy between themselves to get you up and running.
Is that still the case that you're expecting a director of football first before a manager, or is it kind of fluid?
It's kind of fluid, really, because obviously I would say yes normally, but it depends what they've offered Wagner to come back. I mean, he's going to have thrown the kitchen sink at him and say, look, you can just sign whoever you want, or you've got buckets and buckets, loads of money. I don't know what he's offered him. Apparently, it's a very good, substantial package that he's offered him. It's just whether Wagner thinks it's the right time, and the problem is it's whipped the fan base up into a bit of an hysteria, and there are people saying, let the past be the past, and some are saying get him back, because that's what we need right now. I'd be happy to have David Wagner back. Of course I would. He's the best manager that I've seen in my lifetime at Town. But as the weeks go on, I'm more prepared to look at other managers that might want the job if Wagner doesn't think it's the right thing for him at this moment in time. I do think you're going to have to get to a crunch point where this week or next week and something's going to have to be done, because otherwise you're leaving it far too late to sign any decent sort of players, really.
It's twofold, isn't it, Downsy, really? Obviously, sorry, Lou, I know you want to come in as well, but it's twofold, isn't it, in the respect that it would give everybody a boost, given his history and his previous success with Town, and it feels like your fan base really do need a boost at the moment, especially, if you wanted to sell a few more season tickets, not just because he's a quality manager, but because of that boost he'd give the fan base. But the downside of it is they say never go back, don't they? And you don't want to, if he's not, you don't want to ruin his legacy or risk his legacy. So it is twofold, and it is what way you want to jump on that line.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, our great minds, guys, because I was thinking the same. I mean, my thoughts, and sometimes, people and managers and players going back, I kind of think just you've done your stint, leave it be. I mean, it's a completely different context of where you are now as a team and a club and all that kind of come together. But I think the simple question, and crikey, anybody can ask this, but Downs, I don't know what you think. Simple question is Wagner the right man for Huddersfield Town at this moment in time?
I think he's the right man to get the fan base together. He's definitely the right man for that. He would help the club sell more season tickets, 100%. Do I think we're setting him up to fail because we're getting him in so late? I mean, let's remember, we got Michael Duff in at this stage last year, and everybody thought, oh, Town's got somebody in early, to sort of like get the season up and rolling. So, it can't, do you look at it that way and go, well, it kind of worked for Duff, but then he wasn't backed by the end, and there were rumours that he'd sort of lost the dressing room. The one thing that I do know is the remainder of the squad that's left and any new lads that's going to come in, you aren't going to win the battle of getting rid of David Wagner, because the fans would never turn on him, ever. And Kevin's got to get it right, because it's a massive, risky decision for him as well. Because if he doesn't get it spot on, and say if we start really badly, there's only going to be one winner, and it's a no-lose situation for Wagner in terms of his admiration of the Town fans, apart from the fact that it would tarnish slightly maybe his legacy a bit. So it's a difficult one. That's why I'm finding it emotionally difficult compared to the headspace of having somebody like Rob Edwards in there or Tom Cleverley, who I feel like I could really get behind, especially somebody like Tom Cleverley, who I think would be I think he's going to be a good coach at some stage. He's got some very good comments from Watford people who work around the club at Watford. So, we know that it's a bit of a basket case of a club for sacking managers. So I don't really. I take a lot of the time when a manager sat from Watford with a bit of a pinch of salt, compared to when managers sat sort of elsewhere, really. Although we are turning into a bit of a northern Watford, which annoys me.
Come and join us. Bradford have been like that for a few years.
Any last questions on Town before we move on?
As long as you're all right, Downsy, that's all we're bothered about.
Yeah.
I'll be all right.
What I would say there is those 5 managers that you mentioned are all quite different. You know, you've got Tony Mowbray and Nigel Pearson, who are at the older end of the scale, and then you've got Tom Cleverley and Rob Edwards at the younger end of the scale. It'd be interesting to see. It might come down to what setup they want. If they have offered Wagner something, then are they wanting to go down the director of football route? Is he going to work with a director of football, or if he isn't? Are they going to rip if he doesn't? And if he says he isn't going to work with a director of football and then he doesn't come, are they going to rip that up and go with a director of football because the manager that they want will work with a director of football? So it all seems a little bit up in the air at the moment. And as we've said before, massive moment for Kevin Nagle and his ownership of the club, as we've talked about a lot.